All right, good morning. It is October 10th, 2024, 9:01 a.m. We are meeting with PBA for a contract session. My name is Nikki Powell, Human Resources Director.
Debbie Bowers, Assistant County Administrator.
Rich Paul, Chief Corrections.
Janice Floyd, Deputy Director, Human Resources.
Scott Nash, Commander, Scotty County Jail.
Michael Powell, Escambia County Jail.
Armina McKenzie, Escambia County Jail.
Mark Hughes, Escambia County Jail.
But we don't get lost.
Asia Jackson, Escambia County Jail.
Rita Murphy, Escambia County Jail.
Miles Rosmondo, Escambia County Jail.
Dylan Veterans, Escambia County Jail. David Johnson, Escambia County Jail.
Sandy Kirksey, Escambia County Jail. Megan Tyler, Escambia County Jail.
Kevin Owens, Escambia County Jail.
Noel Pillay, Escambia County Jail.
James Bush, Escambia County Jail.
Dustin Pearsing, Escambia County Jail.
Chase Warren, PBA.
Jason Santo, Escambia County Work Annex.
Floyd Devil, Escambia County Jail.
David Holland, Escambia County Work Annex.
Anthony Cruz, Escambia County Jail.
Mario Martin, Escambia County Jail.
Raymond Brown, Escambia County Jail.
This one, I have.
Sorry if y'all didn't hear Kristen Fuel on Teams.
Yeah.
Last time we met, we promised some articles, so I have all but 13 and 17 today. 13 and 17, hopefully we can email to you,
Oh,
discuss them.
Yes.
We just had 2 language cleanups that needed to be done, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you.
Awesome. And yeah,
This
email's
is pretty
fine.
much everything, and you'll see what's not in there. It's highlighted. So all of that pretty much aligns with what we discussed last time.
Yep.
And so I was gonna try to go down there. In Article 5, we accepted your, I think you were changing it to 15 days.
Yep.
That wasn't a problem. Oh, that was Article 6, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Grievance was Article
5 was the-
5 had some cleanup?
I believe it was.
It was minor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
You'll-
5 was just clean up is what we said.
She's very fast.
They tell me all the time I talk too fast. Alright, so Article 8, I think was also some cleanup.
I believe it was.
Yeah, there was just some cleanup with a word.
Yeah.
Same with 10.
Article 10 was just some cleanup?
Yep.
Article 11, Chief, I might have you speak to this one. I know you spoke to it last time. This is the,
Yeah,
The
we
equipment.
moved it from 11 to 19.
Yeah, we just put them together in the right, we had 2 different articles, just cleaned it up, put it in one article. We changed it from the perspective of, due to the work environment out of the annex, they should have safety shoes, it shouldn't be a part of it. It's gonna be an automatic issue there.
Okay.
And then we changed the, $150 boot allowance to a $150 uniform allowance, authorized things that can be purchased.
The
through
equipment.
Acquired through our uniform supply.
Okay.
So, because not everybody burns through a pair of boots a year, I get it, I understand it, so
Yeah.
it makes no difference to me, I mean, it's the same dollar amount, so there's no budgetary impact on it, so I think it's better suited for all.
Awesome.
Article
About so.
12, I think, this is just incorporating an MOU that was already in place, so there's actually no change here. It was just the MOU that we did last time on seniority.
Hold on the back of 11, or in the very back, we had another section. Hold on. The safety committee section, are you okay with that? No problem with that? Okay.
What was that?
Just putting together safety.
1104?
Yes.
Yes, sorry. Trying to keep
Check, I would, do you have what I gave you?
I am, I'm looking
Okay.
through it right now.
Yeah, I'll give
That
you
was
a minute.
11,
I'll
right?
give you a second.
Yeah.
So,
Right, safety committee, yeah.
3 cups of coffee is your own.
I know.
Drink
That's what
coffee.
you should.
Maybe I should.
We had a little bit more language on the back of 11. I see yours, we just added a few, or originally we had a couple of subsections underneath it. Is all. I can show you our copy if
Yeah, do you have an extra copy? So
I've got it digital, so I can give it.
I think I have it.
I've got it digital, so I can just give it to you.
Yeah, and I have it, but it'll take me a while to find it.
Yeah,
so-
it's easier. So this is just the section I was added on, and to the back.
Yeah, so I'll let you speak, you got it, Chief?
Yeah, let-
You wanna speak to that?
Yeah, it just doesn't really,
I couldn't stay there, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
well, I guess the only thing in there that might be a difference in what we have is that the committee gets paid overtime for it. I would say if you're committed to have a safety committee, then it should be straight time and done.
During shift?
During shift, and we can manage that.
Okay.
In lieu of requiring an overtime. I mean,
Okay.
if it's of need or desired, then I would assume that people that wrote this article understand that and be willing to participate in it,
Okay.
not as a monetary gain, but as in ensuring that safety's met.
And if it is
Do you wanna
outside,
have
if it's
a-
outside the normal schedule, they would
Right.
absolutely
Yeah,
get paid
if
for it.
they're coming in
because
for
It'll
a
be,
shift, I got
attempt is to
that.
be scheduled during hours.
Right.
Is
But
there
I mean, by the
gonna,
way this was written is, if Johnny's on day shift, he's getting paid for overtime and a half for it,
yeah,
just to be part of the committee.
is there a, because in ours, we had like a time frame, like a monthly situation, is there like a time that you wanna have a meet, a quarterly meeting?
I would go quarterly, because monthly
Quarterly.
meetings, for the most part, and I don't think it needs to be contractor. I could put together a memorandum and or a policy for it,
Okay.
to outline that. That's why I didn't include all that, because
Fair
it
enough.
just bears down the contract for no value.
Yeah.
We can put that in the establishment of that group.
Fair enough.
We can make a note of that. Dustin, you'll be the one writing policy, so remember that.
Um, So I think Article 12, again, that was the MOU that was written and
Yep.
approved, so that's all that is incorporating that. 14, there was no change. 15, there was some cleanup to the language that was in there. And then again, we didn't add the additional language as far as making every effort, because while we do, we don't want to hold ourselves to that standard, because anybody in the county is required to accept a public records request.
Yes.
It does come through our office to fulfill or through corrections to fulfill, but it can be very difficult to make
Yeah.
sure that we're telling every person every time there's a public records request on their file. And a lot of times there's records requests just because they're looking for another job, and so we get a
Yeah.
request from Santa Rosa County or somewhere like that, and
Of course.
it's just, it's
Okay.
a lot. I get, now that I'm coming to sign off on them, thank you, Debbie. Because I get probably 20 public records requests a week,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Article 19 was where we added and cleaned up your Article 11 for the,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's where they added the money.
For a quick.
Yes.
Is there a change to 18? I'm sorry.
18,
Yeah.
is
I
it
don't think
highlighted?
I don't think there was a change to 18.
Okay, it was
Yeah,
just in
any of the
this.
ones
Yeah.
that, they should have a little
Gotcha.
Yes.
highlight at the top.
Yep.
Those are the ones that had the change. I've just kind of handed you the whole
Yeah.
packet.
Yep.
Okay. So 21 was just the cleanup. There's that no change. 22 is also from, I think we had an MOU for 22, where we incorporated some language for the promotional procedures.
I believe we did.
It is. It's
Yeah. Yep. And we had
And then you
had a
guys-
proposal about a career
I was
path.
gonna let you speak to that.
Go.
Yeah, in all honesty, I'll just put it candid with you, that would shoot ourselves in the foot from the perspective, if you put multiple layers to a sergeant's position in there, we're never gonna get anybody promoted to lieutenant. That would slow or prevent individuals from progressing to the rank of lieutenant if they have multiple steps. Because it would, my perspective of a sergeant is a sergeant no matter what level they are. All right, and if we had 3 steps to get through before you got to lieutenant, then that would just delay, because we'd have to build, you gotta be these 3 levels of sergeant before you promote to lieutenant. And at minimum, let's say it's 2 years. You just now added 6 years of your time requirement of a sergeant, and that's just conversation. It could be 1, it could be, but at minimum, it's gonna be at least 1 at each progressive grade, because otherwise you go from a sick leave sergeant, if you will, to try to compete for lieutenant, you got other people you'd be jumping over. I think that just convolutes the whole process.
Okay.
And plus, we need lieutenants when we need them. I don't have to wait for somebody that's 3 years short.
Yeah.
Or come, you know, and get grieved because he jumped over somebody.
Yeah.
And then there was no additional changes. And then 13 and 17, they are draft copies, so I can't pass them across the table, but I'll go over them real quick. Chief can add whatever he wants to add. But in Article 13, what we did was make a proposal. We did, so for J, I don't have your proposal in front of me, but we had, I'll read you what we have. In order to encourage and reward officers who exercise care in the maintenance of their personal health and job attendance, the BCC agrees to allow an officer with 750 hours of accrued sick leave as of his or her anniversary date to convert up to 40 hours of sick leave to annual leave. If the officer's accrued annual leave balance is 400 hours or more, the officer is not eligible to convert accrued sick leave. If the officer's accrued annual leave balance is 360 to 399, the officer may convert up to 40 hours of sick leave not to exceed 400 hours of accrued annual leave. So just kind of changing that from your proposal of 500 to 750 and maintaining that max of 400.
And just for clarification, Nikki, that's annually. So
Yes.
if that balance is maintained every year, that goes 40, 40, 40, 40. It's cyclic, if you will. I think that's a huge benefit. For people that keep time in the books, that is.
What about 1302A? We requested sick
Yeah, we're
leave,
not changing that. Sick leave across the county is accrued.
except for the sheriff's office.
The sheriff's office is not under the county. So sick leave under the county is accrued at the same rate across the county.
We want to be able to
1303, I did have 2 tables here now for annual leave. So there would be one accrual rate for 8 and 10 hour officers and one accrual rate if we go to a 12.25 hour shift. So that's 2 different tables.
If you don't have a piece of paper in front of you, just that way you'll see it. It goes from 10 to 11 hours for 12-hour shift, 12.25 hour shifts. So you're picking up an extra hour.
Yeah, they don't have it either because I didn't pass it
Oh.
the draft across.
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
table.
You can
It's
email
not
that to me later.
Final, yeah.
So
I'm
you're
hoping
picking
that
up
will
some
final
hours
by-
based off of your time in service. I'll just break it down to you guys can talk about it at your
Yeah.
next board meeting or when you bring it back, but just that way everybody in the room sees it. Less than 5, it remains steady at 8. 5 to 10, it jumps an hour. 10 to 15, it jumps to 13. From 12 to 13, picks up an hour. 15 to 20 picks up an hour. 20 or more picks up an hour to 17 hours. So it, depending on your time in service, it's
And
it's
that's
basically-
based on a percentage of hours worked throughout the year, or hours paid, so.
Okay.
And then you guys made a proposal to change the 400 to 500, we're maintaining the 400, that's across the county. Funeral leave, we made the change that you requested.
That was
Last page.
extending the family narrative.
Yeah.
Real quick on 1303B, we had requested if their leave is over, annual leave is over on the anniversary date, instead of losing it, it would be bought back.
Like a leave buyback.
That's contingent upon funds, and because we don't know what the budget's gonna be every year, we can't put that in the contract. There is the provision, you know, in the regular county policy, which applies across the county, that if funds are available, that is, something that's offered across the county. Last couple of years, the funds have just not been available for that. 1305, we made the change. 1309, we did a little cleanup on the language to clarify. And let's see, I think I have that file Essentially, officers who are required to work on designated county holidays will be paid straight time pay for all hours worked and have up to 12.25 hours holiday pay or up to 12.25 hours holiday leave, depending on their regular schedule of work.
Yeah.
So that's kind of incorporating that possible new schedule. So that would be some cleanup there. 1310, we made that change because that's what you're doing. Article 17, Chief, you wanna hit Article 17?
Sure. As you guys know, that we continue to hire as many people as we physically can, and the time is coming. We got, Scott, I think the number's 12 right now inbound certified, and I just met with, that way you guys know what we're doing, put together an entire meeting yesterday to enhance recruitment and do everything we can to incentivize and draw more talent into our mixes here, because as you know, we don't have the staffing that we would desire to have. Some of you drive brand new cars because of that, and that's not a bad thing. Just please, just as a precautionary, don't adjust your cost of living based off overtime, because it'll eventually go away. All right, and I've seen too many repo vans in our parking lots in my career because people do that. So just precautionary. Work period. This talks about going to basically what we're doing right now, and start. I think one of the biggest frustrations is many of you have lost out on compensatory time toward your retirement, toward your annual earnings, by not getting paid for your full hours work. And so I want to work toward getting that accomplished and actually pay you in accordance with the law. All right. So if you work a 12.2 hour shift, you get paid for 12.2 hours. And overtime kicks in at that 85.75 hour. Or by law, the law says 86, but we can always do better. We go down to 85.75, so anything over that then becomes overtime. So that 5.75 hours every 2 weeks goes in your paycheck again. And you, in the long run, if you run, some of you that have been here for a long time, if you were to do the math on that, I think, I did when I first got here and talked to some staff, you guys have lost a lot of money. That gets factored into your weekly or bi-weekly paycheck, as well as compounded into your retirement by, I'm sorry? Oh, and this article here is where we can cure that. We can fix that. And I'm not trying to sell you anything, I'm just trying to tell you that the way that we need to do this is A, in accordance with the law, and B, what benefits you the most, okay? We cleaned up some language here, flipped everything to a 12.25 hour work schedule and pay you accordingly. I think the biggest change here was we get paid at the quarter hour, so 12.25 obviously for brief. Overtime changes, I'm reading that right there. I think we just cleaned the language up there. I'm just looking to see if there's any significant adjustments. And then the practice of if your day off is a county work holiday, then that goes toward your week pay. And hey, Nick, if you don't mind, just explain that a little bit deeper from a payroll perspective, please.
So I think the original intent of 1702B was specifically for your 10-hour officers. In the week that there's a holiday, they're counting the holiday as time worked. We had made a proposal just to remove that article. It's just cleanup, and it's manual calculation that's required for the payroll staff to have to try to maintain that. And to just pay like every other county employee is paid, which is if there's a holiday, you get holiday time, obviously. But holiday time is not time work, so in accordance with the law, it's not time work. That was just, it'll be, when you get this, that you can see that struck, so I want to make sure that's mentioned.
Yeah, FLSA, and I'm no attorney or anything, but I've been dealing with it for quite some time now. It's very straightforward, and it's always beneficial to the employee to follow. And I encourage you guys to read and understand what the law says about the hours worked and everything. and I'm not gonna get into the history in the past of how we got to where we're at, but we need to correct that for your benefit.
So I gotta ask,
Sure.
because that article is specific for transportation. So they're forced to be off because it's a county holiday.
It's not specific just for transportation.
Well, but, I mean, that's the biggest group that.
It was the
that-
No,
intent.
it's the
It-
smallest group.
That's the main group that work
No, I
overtime.
got 40
during that
RCOs
week.
that work 10s too, that's gonna impact too, so it's
So-
about 70 people roughly.
So they're forced to be off on a holiday, so now that they wanna work an extra day for overtime, it's not gonna be overtime until,
So they physically work the
Yeah.
hours.
It's
That's in
actual hours
accordance
worked.
with the law.
The law says actual hours.
We can always give over and above, so we can still negotiate that, but in accordance with the law, and because, again, our system is set up in accordance with the law, so this is a manual calculation that has to be done every time there's a holiday. It's just some cleanup.
can they be given the option to work then? Because right now they're forced to be
That's
off.
the ops
They're
question.
not forced to be off, there's always overtime available, isn't there?
Not at straight time. I mean, I don't know what the RCO schedules necessarily are, but
There's
let's
a
say,
holiday or,
what if but right now they can't come to work because they're off, right?
I mean, no, there are people that go to work this time, if there's overtime, they
Right now they're getting paid. I'm saying if they change that.
No, if they're working, they're gonna get paid.
Yeah, they're still getting the
Physical
holiday
hours
time that
worked,
they're
that's what she
reserved, the 10-hour employees get that because that's their normal schedule, they get the holiday time on top of it, or excuse I say the overtime on
But
top of
if
it.
they don't, but if there's a holiday and they pick up, you know, this, well, I guess what he's trying to say is that, so if I have a holiday and there's a holiday in and don't come in, but I work an extra day,
Right now they're getting that as
they
well.
get, yeah,
After they change.
I think it's always been straight time. Because if I have a deal.
It is straight.
Yeah, it's always been straight time. Well, how we've been doing it over there. Well, we've been doing it just straight time. If you have your holiday, and you was off on a holiday, you didn't work that day, and then you had picked up another shift on the road or whatever, it's straight time. Since I've been here 10 years.
We'll
Well, I'll
talk
work
about
that
it.
through.
Yeah, you can always, send a counter back and add it back in, that's not.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's what negotiations are about.
Yeah. We'll talk about
We
it
just
more,
wanted to
so.
make sure you understood.
Again, we had two things, different things going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the, like I said, the 5.75, for your lowest paid employee, what that looks like, maybe $120 extra paycheck if you move to that. So, hopefully, we can get you these articles probably by the end of the week.
I'm
And
gonna
you'll
talk
have
to
the
John
full-
and,
You'll have
do
the
the
full
back and forth,
packet,
but
yeah. So, and that's all I've got.
So what I haven't heard anything about is any kind of a pay increase. We proposed a 6%. I think it was back in Article 13.
And we costed that out last time, what did I tell you that cost? I don't remember.
I think you were running the numbers. I don't know that we got a
We
real,
never got.
like, cost.
Um,
I think we left off where you guys were doing some budget checks or.
It was a lot.
Oh, yes, I'm sure it is,
I
yeah.
can let Debbie speak to wages and while I pull it up, but it was a lot.
And we have done budget checks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right now, not only are salaries kind of tight, but our operating budgets have been cut in a lot of areas, which are causing us a lot of pain in other places. So, just like we told other unions right now, we just can't do anything except for what we get with the 3% that the commissioner did. Across the board, 3%, the commissioner did approve that in her budget, so everyone will get that. And at this time, we can't do anything more than that.
I mean, our starting pay right now is $21.79. The 6% gets us to $23.10, which is Santa Rosa County's current starting salary. And that just gets, like I said, that just gets the starting pay to what their starting pay is. Currently, August average numbers were 7 overtime officers a shift, which is roughly $165,000 a month in overtime, or $1.9 million a year, if that's the consistent theme every month. And that's, I don't see how we cannot do something, because we're not,
Well, let me just explain how that overtime gets paid, that way everybody
I know it's
understands.
salary lapse numbers.
It comes out of the positions that we have vacancies. The 30-plus vacancies, technically 60, but 30 of them are unfunded and 30 of them are funded. That's how I pay the overtime right now, is because if I don't have somebody sitting in that seat, that's what I'm paying the overtime hours with. So as those seats get filled, that's why I said precautionary, as we increase the personnel, the overtime dollars go down, so does the opportunity. It's almost equal, because I haven't busted my budget in 6 years. And what I mean by that is, we look at the overtime rate that we're paying, as long as my salary dollars that I have on the books that aren't filled are more than that, we're okay. I'm okay, county's okay, we haven't busted our budget, all right? But as those positions fill, the overtime need comes down and they start to balance back up. So it's not like there's extra money being budgeted. Well, I have an overtime budget, but we'll blow that real quick, as you can see. You just heard that. But the lapsed dollars, it's called, from the wages of the employees that we don't have filled is how we pay that overtime. So there's not a bucket of money to be put into other salaries, because as we hire new people to help us do our mission, that money goes away too. So understand that it's a balancing act, so to speak. And so there's not, yeah, it costs us $1 million, so you can put that $1 million in our pocket. No, we got the $1 million because we have vacancies. We got several $1 million because we have vacancies. But as they go away, people start drawing that salary down, that pot of money goes away, goes down to where hopefully we have the people we need to run our operation. So it's not like there's extra money. There's not. That overtime budget is usually spent in the first quarter, and then we're in the lapsed dollar cost. That's all.
We're looking across the board for monies, operationally and salary wise, and to see if we can balance anything off. We just don't have it right now.
I think that's everything. Is it okay if we take the caucus? We'll all talk and we'll come back. That's all right with you guys?
Does anyone have a spreadsheet? I mean,
Sign
sign sheet.
Yeah, I'll turn off the recorder and everything. I'll still do it. Pull my spreadsheet up.
We're gonna let y'all stay in here since there's something you will walk out, we'll turn the recorder on, so you're privacy.
I can say,
They want some chairs, so I'm just gonna get off.
I don't know that.
I want to let Val Brown back there passing out. I'm sorry.
All right, recorder's on.
Awesome. I have a couple of clarifying questions, and I think it came up, I think it was Article 13, the DOR is still, or I'm sorry, 17, I'm sorry. The DOR still exists, because we didn't talk about it, but it's still, okay, just wanted to
Well,
clarify.
it is right now,
Yes.
and what we're gonna present, it will not be.
Okay, I will say that we,
In order to pay you for
Sure.
that, then there's no DOR, because that time earned, that 5.75 hours is what goes towards them getting a DOR.
okay. I can tell you that the concern there is, you know, I know that it's paid overtime and it's not guaranteed, but I think it's safe to say we're short enough now for them, it's pretty much guaranteed as much as they want to work. And the consensus is they're not going to want to give up the DOR to get comp time. Like, they'll make more money in overtime for now. If the DOR goes away, then that's something different. But their concern is they're going to take a big hit on money when they're already, obviously they were hoping for more than 3%, because we're significantly below the state average and obviously the neighboring county, because we only have one neighboring county. And that's the concern, is we're going to take a hit on money and then also not get a raise to get us close to the other counties or surrounding pay.
Yeah.
So as it stands, I don't believe that we can find a way to agree on giving up the DOR.
So your counter would essentially be maintained 17 as is.
Pretty close to it. I'm gonna meet with John about it, obviously, but that's the concern, is they're gonna take a hit on money, essentially. The 3%'s not gonna get anywhere close to balance that. I mean, I get some of it's paid overtime, but they're still gonna have less than their take home, and that's what
And that's
everybody's
because
looking
they're
at.
currently getting overtime on the DOR?
Yes.
Is that,
Yeah, because they should have a day of rest, but because of manpower, 30-something hours short, they're significantly short. So we're asking them to essentially they're gonna be forced to do they're not gonna get paid overtime, but they're still gonna be forced to work, so now they're gonna be getting like straight time or something, so it's less money. So the little bit of money that you're gonna give them is actually less when you factor out their mandatory or required paid overtime. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's the concern, is they're like, the goal is obviously to make more money with the times and everything, and we don't wanna go make a decision and take less.
Well, and I think Chief's intent, and I'll let him speak to it, was not to have the overtime on the DOR, and to basically one or the other. You start taking your DOR, or we can move to this where you get the pay, but
And
I mean,
because
that's an
there's no way
operational
to take the
thing.
DOR.
Yeah,
I
well,
can
there
speak from
is.
the HR side for pay,
There is,
he's
but
gonna speak to
understand,
the
yes,
operations.
understand the operational impact of that. And I'll be completely, I've been transparent since the day I got here. The practice of taking a day with the DOR will not occur anymore because it's too big of an impact on this department. You guys don't understand the mathematics that apply to that. So if we go back to this DOR and the dollar value that has been lost, and I don't mean to you, we have people routinely, probably somewhere near 90% of folks never even cycle through the full month to have enough time on the books to take a DOR, but yet it was being given. And what I mean by that is, you take a day off, you lose a quarter an hour. All right, because you didn't come to work, so you lose that quarter. You take a week off, you lost, you do the math. You didn't earn toward the DOR. It's been automatically given. So if we go back to it, I'll just be completely candid, it's gonna be earned before taken, the full 12 hours. Because right now, you're only, if you do the math on the DOR, how many hours is it in a 28-day cycle? Somebody's gotta have the numbers in their head. Doesn't you know it better than anybody?
Are you talking about the 12.25 times?
Yep.
It's eight,
So what I'm
it's not
saying
12.
is,
Yeah, it's
in
8.
all fairness,
We're only getting paid 8 hours for our DOR, 8
Negative.
hours of overtime
Negative.
every.
Negative.
You're getting,
Negative.
yeah.
You're getting paid the entire shift
you
overtime.
get it, exactly.
You're getting paid on.
You're getting the entire day of your DOR that you work as overtime, the whole 12 hours.
So I'm just saying, when we can reinstitute it, okay? It's gonna mean I'm gonna have to control it from the perspective of you have to earn it before it's given. Because we being collective, we have been given God's amount of money with.
How,
If you worked,
I would like to know how we're getting the 12 hours, because on the
I'm pulling it up.
on the Chronos it'll say if
On
we
your
work
paycheck, it'll
Hold on,
Monday,
down here and show you.
if we work Monday
let
night.
her show it to you, Michael.
This is your schedule, okay?
While
So
she's-
this is your first week at 49.
While she's explaining it
This
to
is your
him,
second week at
the other
36,
concern
35.
is
This is
the
your third week at
retention.
49. Let's
Sorry.
check the DOR
There
in
you
the
go.
last.
The other
Gloria, I'm
concern
sorry.
is
So you physically
the
work
retention, obviously the
159.25
recruitment, I get that, but like,
hours
I'm under the
in
impression
this
that there's a
45
small group of
global
officers that are your
because we pay
repeaters that
you.
fill up all the overtime, and they're always consistent and reliable for you, and their concern
We
is.
pay you 80 and 80, so we pay you 160, so we're paying you
I'll wait.
at 0.75 hours.
Can y'all either explain it to the whole class or?
Well, and I can walk around and show, it's so much easier to see,
You
and I
can put it
can't,
up there?
I can't do it from this computer.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We
So
can-
on your
But basically,
paycheck,
we're
you
paying
get 12
you-
hours of overtime. You can't, UKG says 8 hours because that's for their timekeeping, but when you get your pay stub, if you work no other overtime but your DOR, it's gonna be 12 hours.
Yeah, our payroll clerks go back in and move those numbers because the system doesn't allow.
The 8 hours in
We have to
UKG is
work.
just for them to work their numbers, but when the clerk's office processes it, it's 12 hours of overtime on your paycheck.
But then as far as earning the DOR, you're actually only earning, you're earning 0.75 hours less than what was being paid for the DOR. So you're not earning the full DOR. So what Chief is saying is if we're going to continue with the DOR, you're gonna have to earn the time so that the county's not out the money.
Because it's millions of dollars, folks. And that's just, that has been, for whatever reason, just not accounted for. So doing the right thing is, if we're gonna have it, we're gonna earn it. And I'm good with that.
So to speak freely, the biggest issue in the room is, I mean, we started this back in April, and here it is October, and basically we've been told, hey, there's nothing that's gonna be given for retention, because everybody in the county got a COLA. So, I mean, for us, that's not retention. Everybody in the county got it, no matter where you work. So, I mean, we're almost 6 months now, and the majority of the people, if not everybody in this room works overtime. So, if they didn't work any overtime tomorrow, we go to mandatory overtime, but the jail's not gonna have enough people. So 6 months, and there's not anything for anybody retention. I mean, people wanted to leave tomorrow, we're gonna be stuck having to figure out how to staff. And again, the 6% was just to get us to Santa Rosa, just minimum to meet Santa Rosa.
And so, but you asked for 6% for everybody, not just for your starting wages. So 6% for everybody is well over $2 million.
Okay, but again, there's nothing for retention. I mean, there's,
But you keep talking about starting wages, so we could revisit starting wages, which is gonna be a lot less
but
than.
they could leave and go to Santa Rosa County.
No, they can't. And let's be real, they have how many vacancies in Santa Rosa? 2 yesterday. Okay, 2. So the probability that 50 people are leaving to go to Santa Rosa is damn near 0.
They go to the sheriff's office and they're starting
They
pay.
could do that right now, they could have done
And
it
that's
6
a
months ago,
different career
Dustin.
field.
Correct.
You know, and I'm not, trust me, I'm not telling anybody to leave. But I'm just saying, a threat of another department's employment, and I say threat just as a word, is not valid. There's other arguments to be made, I wish you guys would make them.
But there's
There's
still
gotta be a
no
way to meet in the
retention.
middle a little bit, is, I guess, ideally. Is just meet in the middle somewhere to find a gap.
I don't control purse strings, folks. I'd give you $50 an hour if I could. I don't control that.
Yeah.
We don't
Could-
control that.
Could we come up with something as far as, okay, 6%, say 6% for everyone, because that's the number you said, Nikki. So say
what we
six.
pro-
They
that's
said
what we
6%,
I understand, but
and I said
I'm-
that's well over $2 million.
I understand that, but you also said for new hires as well. Okay, so let's do 6% for everybody that's off probation.
You're still talking over $2 million.
And then do
And that
some,
2.3
and then do
doesn't include any
something.
vacancies.
That
That's
doesn't
just
include
people on
vacancies,
staff.
that's incumbents.
So if you did 6% for everybody that's off probation, and then you adjusted the start pay, people coming in the door still wouldn't make the same amount of money as somebody that's been here 2 years. I think as far as an officer standpoint, that would be fair, because it's not fair to an
Well,
officer
where-
that's been here 2 or
You gotta
3
tell me
years.
where I'm gonna get this $2.4 million. Or go tell budget where they're gonna get the $2.4 million, because we've been telling you for months, we
Yeah.
told you in April we didn't have it. We told you in April when we started this that we did not have it.
Where do they get the 3%?
So that's typically budgeted across the board, that's
Every
something
year.
we've talked about, because you have a Me Too clause, when the 3% is budgeted, that's what's budgeted. There has been talk, we've talked about it previously, of what if we just remove that Me Too clause, and then we say, this is what's budgeted, and we can work with that, but that would be, you don't get the 3%, that means we have X amount of dollars to discuss.
Question over here is where's the 3% come from? That's what budget looks at, the projected. Again, understand the big picture. County looks at what the projected tax revenue is based, they got inbound. That's based off of home sales, property taxes, cost of doing business across the board. And then they look at, okay, we can afford to give every employee a 3% raise. And then they budget for that.
Understand, some departments had to give up positions in order to
Make the
to accommodate that. So maybe not corrections, because there's accreditation standards we have to meet, but because you're funded from the general fund, across the general fund, we have to look and see where can we actually just give up a full position that's gonna fund something else.
So you said in April, I mean, it wasn't you, I mean, but it was told that there was no money in the budget
Well,
because it was already set.
I think our first meeting we had, they
Yeah,
said.
they said that. So when would be a good time to get with whoever we need to talk to about before the budget is set? to maybe start negotiating then, so when the
So
budget
you
is set,
wanna-
we can have it in
I can't,
negotiation.
I can't really speak for budget, you'd wanna talk to Stefan and understand, I think understanding the budget is gonna be the start. So ad valorem last year, don't quote me, was somewhere between 14 and 16 million. Ad valorem this year is 9, next year's projected to be around 6.
So they already projected without, that's what I just don't try to
Right.
understand,
We
they're
have
trying to project
out,
it without
right.
them even
So those, that
setting
you
with
can
us
see
and
that
seeing
that
what we
is
want, so it's pretty much,
decreasing.
if we happen to catch it,
It's decreasing.
then it's like, oh, we
yeah.
got lucky, we
Those
pulled
ad
this,
valorem, those taxes are decreasing
Yeah,
every
property
year,
taxes, thank you.
so.
So, but then we just have to figure out who we have to talk to before it gets set in motion. which is-
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've probably gone as far as we can go today. I'm gonna talk to John, send those articles,
yeah, I
if
gotta
you'll
get
just
these-
email them to me and John.
Yeah.
So we can look at it, and mainly he can look at it. And we'll go from there, if that's all right for today.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, appreciate
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Hey, just everybody understand, this is not an adversarial relationship. I know it may feel that way, but not, it is trying to get the best thing for all of us, all of our employees collectively, we. All right, everything I'm doing at this table is for us. I don't get to make a lot of it, but I get a better operating organization. All right, so understand that this isn't that there's money that we're trying, that this side of the table, as it's, I hate the way we line it up here, but it's the way we line it up, is trying to avoid giving any money that's available. It's not available, because if it was, it'd be in your pocket.
So, okay, well, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for meeting with us, and then I'll get with John today, and then as soon as we get your proposals, and we'll
Yeah.
go over that.
I'm gonna turn off the recorder.
Yes.